The house lights are off, her guitar strap is frayed, and the crowd is 24 sleepy patrons nursing cappuccinos. On stage is a teenager from Pennsylvania with a voice big enough to carry past the clatter of cups. Fast forward 10 years and a continent away, an entire stadium's lights dim on cue as another singer's name pulses on giant screens. Fireworks explode. VIP lounges overflow. That jump from tiny room to arena is the rags to riches arc pop fans love. Yet it's only half the story. Because in music, poor versus privileged isn't always about dollars. Sometimes it's about leverage, labels, and the way a platform is used. And the juicy part? The same young artist busking at open mics is now cutting six-figure checks to charity, while a superstar with billions on paper is building emergency relief pipelines. To see how class background does and doesn't matter in pop, we need to rewind to a 12-year-old girl's first audition. Stay tuned, because after unpacking her path from Disney to headliner, we'll dive into the powerhouse whose empire redefines privilege, and then look at what they both do with their success. Sabrina Carpenter, from small-town casting calls to Girl Meets World. Born in Quakertown and raised in East Greenville, Pennsylvania, Sabrina's early career didn't scream privilege. She uploaded covers to YouTube and took whatever roles she could book. Her small-screen debut came on Law & Order Special Victims Unit when she was just 11. At 12, she happily announced on Facebook that she'd landed 2 pilot roles, writing, "LA won't be getting rid of me just yet." 2 years later, Disney cast her as Maya Hart on Girl Meets World, a gig that turned her into a tween icon for 3 seasons. That show didn't just launch her acting career, it also taught her to navigate fame on a budget. In interviews, she said she still had to do her own makeup and share a trailer with friends during those early days, while classmates at home watched her on TV. Her music career followed the same DIY pattern, posting demos online, touring as an opening act, and slowly building a fan base. She opened for Ariana Grande and more recently for Taylor Swift's Eras Tour, soaking up stadium energy from the sidelines. There was no trust fund, no pre-existing empire, just family support and a work ethic. That's why her next chapter is so interesting. She turned rising fame into a new type of charity machine. Coming up, see how a singer who once performed for free at charity auctions is now raising 7-figure sums for causes she cares about, and she's doing it in a way that ties every ticket to a donation. Sabrina Carpenter's charitable powerhouse, giving back on the way up. If you attend a Sabrina Carpenter concert, part of your ticket price isn't paying for pyrotechnics, it's going straight to charity. In 2024, she launched the Sabrina Carpenter Fund in partnership with nonprofit Plus One. In just 12 months, her fund raised over $1 million, making it the organization's fastest-growing artist initiative. Proceeds support mental health advocacy, LGBTQ+ rights, and animal welfare programs. How does she do it? By embedding donations into every aspect of her work. She dedicates a portion of ticket sales to the fund and collaborates with brands on charity projects. Plus One founder Marika Anthony Shaw praised her strategy, saying, "Carpenter is setting a new standard, one where social impact becomes woven into an artist's career."
Carpenter also contributed one-of-a-kind items to City of Hope's 2020 virtual auction series, with all proceeds going toward cancer, diabetes, and HIV/AIDS research. She's built a reputation not only for fundraising, but for choosing causes that mirror the young, diverse audience she speaks to. In short, the poor pop star invests as she goes, proving you don't need a billion-dollar brand to make a difference. But if class isn't an obstacle to philanthropy, what happens when someone comes from the opposite end of the spectrum? For that, we turn to Beyoncé, a woman whose wealth and influence are so immense that her every move becomes a headline. Beyoncé, building a privileged empire and changing genres. Talk about privilege in pop, and one name towers above: Beyoncé. She has been the epitome of success since her time with Destiny's Child. Even without a tech tycoon family or old money heritage, her career has amassed incredible wealth and influence. In 2024, she redefined genre boundaries with Cowboy Carter. The album broke streaming records, netting 76 million streams on release and debuting at #1 across multiple charts. It earned 11 nominations at the 67th Annual Grammy Awards, making it the third most nominated album in history and the most nominated by a woman. It also made her the first Black woman to top the top country albums chart. That's not just privilege, it's cultural leverage. Her tours are corporate-sized operations, with ticket prices and merch sales that make headlines. Add in business ventures, Ivy Park Fashion, the Parkwood Entertainment Company, collaborations with Adidas and Tiffany, and you get a net worth approaching $500 million. Yet this privileged position came through relentless work and a strategic understanding of the music industry. Where a label might still decide a newcomer's fate, Beyoncé now calls her own shots, signs artists, and controls masters. As one of pop's most powerful figures, she doesn't answer to many. Which raises an important question. Does privilege insulate artists from empathy, or does it amplify their ability to help? Beyoncé's track record suggests the latter. Next, we'll explore how she uses her platform to support communities in crisis and invests in scholarships and small businesses, showing that privilege, in the right hands, can be a tool for good. Beyoncé's philanthropy, Be Good and Beyond. While the headlines focus on album drops and Ivy Park deals, Beyoncé has quietly built one of pop's most effective philanthropic arms. Through her Be Good Foundation, she donated more than $82,000 to the United Way of Genesee County and helped raise over $6 million for the Flint water crisis. During the Formation World Tour, she partnered with local charities to donate to families affected by the crisis. When Hurricane Harvey devastated Houston, she teamed up with Bread of Life, the Greater Houston Community Foundation, and Texas Southern University to help displaced residents find temporary housing and rebuild. Be Good's timeline reads like a relief organization's log: $6 million in COVID relief, the Black Parade Route Initiative supporting Black-owned small businesses, scholarships for college students, and small business luncheons on her Renaissance World Tour. These aren't one-off gestures, they're systems. The foundation recently expanded to include a scholarship program for creatives and business owners, proving Beyoncé leverages her privilege to redistribute opportunity. She's not the only megastar doing this. Others have followed suit, but few have matched her consistency or scale. Beyoncé's story illustrates how a privileged position can amplify generosity. But class lines in pop aren't just drawn between Sabrina and Beyoncé. To round out the picture, we need to look at a singer raised with more resources who still manages to give back on a massive scale.
Ariana Grande, privilege meets philanthropy. Ariana Grande started as a child actor on Nickelodeon, with parents who ran a successful design firm. By the time she was headlining tours, she was firmly in the privileged category, commanding huge budgets and setting fashion trends. Yet she uses her stature for social causes. In spring 2020, she teamed up with Justin Bieber to release Stuck With You. All net profits from the single were donated to the First Responders Children's Foundation, and the collaboration raised over $3.5 million. The funds provided scholarships for children of first responders, helped families facing financial hardship due to the pandemic, covered funeral expenses, and even paid for temporary housing so frontline workers could quarantine away from vulnerable relatives. Grande is also active with charities like PETA and the Make-A-Wish Foundation. In 2021, she expanded into nonprofit work again by launching an animal rescue shelter in Los Angeles. Her actions show that privilege doesn't have to equal complacency. A comfortable upbringing and early industry connections can be turned into a megaphone for change, if the artist chooses to use it that way. But class contrast doesn't just show how stars give away money. It also reveals what they give back culturally. For an example of a star who grew up with little but redefined generosity, our last stop is someone whose name is almost synonymous with charity. Dolly Parton, humble roots, massive impact. Long before she became a country icon, Dolly Parton grew up in rural Tennessee in a cabin so small that her siblings slept 4 to a bed. Her early poverty isn't recorded in the citation above, but her later generosity is. In 1995, she established the Imagination Library, which mails a free book every month to children from birth until kindergarten. The program has given away millions of books across several countries. She also donated $500,000 to Fort Sanders Medical Center, funded a bald eagle sanctuary at Dollywood that earned her the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service's Partnership Award, and remains involved in numerous charitable causes for at-risk youth, disaster relief, and literacy. Parton's story proves that poor doesn't mean powerless. She transformed her modest beginnings into a global platform for literacy and health. In doing so, she built a bridge from small-town poverty to the lives of kids everywhere who now receive books with their names on the label. Class is a starting point, not a destiny. Sabrina Carpenter moved from Pennsylvania open mics and Disney Channel sets to raising over $1 million for mental health and equality. Beyoncé parlayed a chart-topping career and business ventures into disaster relief funds and scholarships. Ariana Grande turned a quarantine hit into millions for first responders and their families. Dolly Parton, once so poor she counted mason jars instead of toys, built a literacy empire that mails books to kids around the world. Poor versus privileged isn't a scorecard. It's the start of a conversation. In the end, pop music's class contrasts remind us that success and compassion aren't mutually exclusive. A small-town kid can grow up to fund mental health programs. A billionaire can spend downtime coordinating hurricane aid. Privilege can insulate or amplify. Poverty can limit or ignite. The real difference lies in what these artists choose to do after the spotlight hits. Some buy bigger diamonds, and some build bigger libraries. And the most interesting ones seem to do both.